Welcome to Raising Those Spirits. I'm Steve,
And I'm Sam.
and we're back after 2 weeks of reading
Reading
Goosebumps,
Goosebumps.
which
Yeah,
I
that took a lot longer than I thought it was going to.
we got a lot of content out of that one book.
Yeah, we got what, 3 episodes?
Three to
Four
four episodes.
episodes?
I think we might have gotten 4 episodes out of that. I mean, if we
I hope
just,
everybody liked it.
yeah, I hope everyone did too, because honestly, we could just do like 6 Goosebumps books a year, and that's our content.
I mean, I think that I would do. You know what? We should do that every 6 months.
Yeah,
Say, I feel like that's a good.
I think that's a good idea because I remember a lot of Goosebumps books having two different main paths, like that one did. Like there was Welcome to Horrorland or whatever was like one of the first ones was a carnival themed one, and when you got there, you could go either to the midway or to the rides, and that basically decided the book for you. And
I
so,
remember that one.
yeah,
Yeah,
there's a lot of books where it's like, all right, we can definitely choose two different paths and, do two different episodes based on them.
I think we've done how many Goosebumps books is? Because I think we did one episode that was all both of us reading Goosebumps book on these. We've done like 4 Goosebump books, 3 or
Well,
4.
we did the camp episode where we each did a Goosebumps book.
Right.
And I think besides the live reads, that's all we've done with Goosebumps.
Yeah, maybe we'll
We've
do some Fear Street or something. I feel like there's
ooh,
so much R.L. Stein
I
in our
think
wheelhouse.
Fear Street's good because we've been doing a lot of like younger kid stuff because we have younger kids. But this week we're actually doing an older kid thing.
It's
We're
true.
doing the SCP Foundation, which is for more mature, like teenager types, I'd say.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
It's
Yeah, young stuff I would have been into during that era. It really reminded me of. I mean, we'll get to that part of the show.
yeah,
Really, really reminded me of. It took me back to like early internet sort of era. I remember just SCP Foundation felt kind of like going through old GeoCity sites and finding like weird stuff, or how you'd stumble upon like if you ever go on to the Heaven's Gate website that's still up and running for some reason. It felt like that to me.
yes, it did. It definitely like feels more like the Wild West. It feels like something I would have found and would have loved when I was a teenager.
Yes.
So, I'm into trying Fear Street and some more mature stuff. This was a nice dive. We'll get a little more into that. First, we have to do our weekly cryptid.
Ooh, what do you got for us this week, Steve?
I have the state of Arkansas, which not as fun. I mean, they've got, the same traditional stuff a lot of people have, their own lake monster, their own Bigfoot. But
Hmm.
they have something called the Goro.
Hmm.
It lives in the Ozarks, and it is best described as a wingless dragon, which I think is just a dinosaur.
Sure.
Uh,
Sounds accurate.
it is reported as having two tusks on its head, webbed feet, a spiky back, and a formidable spear at the end of its tail. It's
Oh,
a 20-foot long nocturnal monster that preys on livestock and small animals.
all
It
right.
originally was reported on in 1897. It seems to be just an ongoing hoax. Uh,
And not an actual Arkansas dinosaur.
yeah, it seems like it was originally a Little Rock businessman who heard of the monster and sought to capture it. And story goes that he formed a posse and they hunted down and tracked it to a cave full of human bones and animal remains, and uh, it emerged from the lake, and it was a big epic battle, and they killed it and sent it to Washington, D.C. to be put on display in the Smithsonian, but it never arrived.
Oh no! God, don't you hate it when that happens?
I do. And then there was another guy who claimed to have captured one by feeding it so many apples when it was in its burrow that it got stuck in there, and then went on to charge people 25 cents to see it, but he wouldn't do it one at a time. He would wait until he had a really large crowd and then jump out with his clothing torn and like bleeding, saying it had gotten loose.
Okay, so we got a little P.T. Barnum sort of thing going on here.
Yeah, so no one ever actually saw it.
Convenient. Convenient.
But there are lots of people who have claimed its existence. They believe it is not a single creature, but an unidentified species that roams through the Ozarks. So, you know, probably just a fun, ongoing backwoods hoax, but the most fun thing that they've got going on in Arkansas.
Yeah, no, I mean, don't ruin the fun of your Ark Arkansas. What do you call somebody from Arkansas?
Arkansians? I mean, that
Arkansians?
sounds coolest.
Yeah, Arkansians. Don't ruin the fun of the Arkansians. If you're from Arkansas, please drop us a line. Let us know what you call yourselves, because we don't know.
All right, so should we just imagine the go row and see if it's
That's just what.
if Midjourney knows what it is?
Yes. Let's see. Let's see if you put it in there, if what it comes up with. I feel like
Okay.
we got a lot of good description for it, though.
All right, so I'm also going to do imagine a wingless dragon with two tusks on its head, webbed feet, a spiky back, and a tail ending in a spear point in the forest. All right, they're both in the Raising Spirits text channel. Let's see what Midjourney's got for us. All right, well, the Go Row, I don't know what this guy is, but
Looks like the Joker, kind of like a not like a Joker knockoff.
yeah, he's like a 1920s Joker, so that's not it.
One of them looks kind of like Chris Pine.
Top right,
No, I was gonna say
bottom left.
bottom left. Yeah, you know what? Top right though, he looks like Chris Pine too.
Yeah. All right. Well, I don't like any of those. Holy crap! What part of wingless don't you understand, Midjourney?
Wow, Midjourney does not know what wingless means, because those dragons are quite winged.
They are incredibly winged, and they don't even have tails that have a spear point. We
So
can't
maybe
even make
try
something out of that. That's just a dragon. That can't be a new cryptid.
that is simply a dragon. We'll try dinosaur instead of dragon. Maybe that's what's throwing it off.
Okay.
The Arkansas Dragons.
Okay. Like, these are some badass dragons, but they're not. They're not what we're looking for.
No.
And what if we don't get a mistake? Then we don't get to make a new cryptid?
I feel like there's something weird coming from this one. Oh,
Okay.
here's something coming.
It's not the first thing I typed, though. It's the second thing I typed. We just created a backwoods Arkansas cryptid.
Oh, one of them looks good.
I mean, we're only at 62%. Okay. I like all of these guys. I mean, top
They're
left is
cool.
clearly a werewolf, bottom right is clearly a Bigfoot. But top right's kind of like a creature from the Black Lagoon, and I don't know what bottom left is, but I like it a lot. I'm
Oh
gonna
yeah.
I'm gonna upscale bottom left. Get
Even
it.
this Bigfoot, I think, is a pretty cool graphic.
Oh, yeah, no, the Bigfoot came out really cool. The creature from the Black Lagoon came out pretty cool. Um, Even the werewolf's pretty cool, but the other one I don't know how to classify it. It's like an ogre werewolf dinosaur.
Yeah, that sounds right. It looks like it could be a troll from Ernest Scared Stupid.
Oh, yeah.
Wow.
Okay, I like top right and bottom left a lot.
Yeah, yeah.
Which is
Kind of like
your.
a rhinoceros monster.
I think bottom left I like more just because it's got like a very swamp thing face. Like it's got like a
Okay.
crocodile mouth or
Hmm.
like an alligator. It's like a mixture of the uh the swamps and the Ozarks, but
Oh
I'm
yeah.
also into the top right.
I like how top right is just a big horn and like no eyes.
That is pretty cool.
So nice.
So which one do you which is our boy?
I think I want to say bottom left. I'm feeling the strongest about bottom left.
I'm feeling the strongest about bottom left too. Now, the other one did finally click in, so if you go down, we actually have another four options.
Oh my.
I like bottom left here as well, and top right. Bottom left and top right keep both delivering. I don't know if I like them more than our previous ones, though. I think I'm gonna stay with number three.
Number three.
Yeah, bottom left of the first set. So, do we want to keep our cool backwoods Arkansas cryptid as our cryptid of the week, or do we want to pick from one of the leftovers?
No, I like the werewolf ogre.
I like the werewolf ogre too. Okay, so who is this werewolf ogre? He has American Werewolf in Paris kind of build,
Yeah.
but not fully a werewolf. Definitely some troll in there.
Yeah. I like how there's like a crescent moon behind him. So he's not a definitely not a werewolf because this is a new moon and not a full moon.
What if it is a werewolf troll hybrid?
Okay.
And that's why it's a new moon.
Oh, he transforms at the new moon.
Because trolls don't like light. And the full moon's super bright.
Oh, okay. So he's a like what would we call a werewolf troll hybrid? Let's do some translating because it seems pretty well, where do trolls come from? Norway?
Trolls come from Norway, Scandinavia as a whole, but mainly I'd say Norway. And then I think werewolves are originally from France.
Really?
The Lupin. They're big in the French folklore. I mean, they come from all over. There's lots of different werewolves, but they were big in France too. So we could call it a
So,
Lupinkin.
ooh, Lubikin. Wolf troll in Norwegian is Ulved troll.
Ulventroll. I like Ulventroll. That is
Ulvud
literally
troll.
just wolf troll, though. Like
Yeah, but I
Ulf
mean,
is wolf.
Ulv troll.
Yeah, that's two on the nose. It would have to be a Trollvin.
Trollvin.
Trollvin because Ulven. So it would be Trollvin. I'm into Trollvin. All right. So where does the Trollvin live? Clearly a forest.
Lives in the forests of Arkansas.
I mean, we're
You look.
making this. He doesn't have to be in Arkansas. He can be anywhere in the
No,
world.
he's not in Arkansas anymore.
I mean, well, we these cryptids we've made haven't necessarily been in the places, have they?
No, not necessarily.
All right. So the Trollvin, I think he is a keeper of his part of the forest, almost like a swamp thing.
Okay, so he protects his section of the forest from would-be interlopers.
Yes.
And clearly he eats their heads.
Clearly eats their heads. It
It's
looks
like a
like
slash the gut, eat the head sort of situation.
he's got like a really really big nostril, and his eyes are like the type of eyes you see in like subterranean things where like they're used to seeing with incredibly low light.
Hmm.
So I think this thing's fully nocturnal.
Yeah, and again, mostly at the new moon. So when the less light there is, the more adept he is. So
Yes.
he's doing smell, he does by hearing. He
I
does not come
think
out during the day. He is just an eater. He's an eater of men's heads.
I think during the day he turns into like stone or wood or something like trolls.
Hmm.
And like he's pretty gnarly. I think he could twist into a shape where he looks like, a tree trunk or like a mound of boulders or something.
Yeah, heavily camouflaged. And I mean, like, and it's dark out. You can't see him.
Oh yeah. All right, cool. So there's the Trollven.
Trollvin. He
Love it.
stalks at the new moon. All
Beware the
right,
Trollven.
where the Trollvin.
Okay, love it. So that's Arkansas. What are you drinking?
I'm drinking a Honeycrisp cider from Carlson Orchards. It is
Okay.
yeah, one of my favorites. I happen to have it in my fridge, and I didn't have time to make a drink today because work ran kind of long.
Yeah, I will 110% admit that I forgot to do a drink for this one. I got in an SCP rabbit hole. Um, so instead, I mean, I'm going to keep it cocktail. What have I been drinking recently? Oh, you know what I just had on St. Patrick's Day?
Jeff.
I had. It is a Murphy's Irish Stout.
Hmm.
I had that on St. Patrick's Day instead of Guinness. I'd never had Murphy's, even I think when, I mean, I might have had it when I was in Ireland. I cannot recall though. I really liked it. I do not like Guinness. I'm
Hmm.
not normally a stout guy, but Murphy's was very, very nice. It wasn't as bitter or harsh as Guinness. It didn't have like a burnt malt taste to it. I really I enjoyed it. It was creamier.
Nice. Okay. Good drinking. Yeah, I forgot it was St. Patrick's Day. I did nothing about St. Patrick's Day.
Yeah, well, I mean, you're not Irish. Neither is your wife.
That's true.
I do it only because my wife and her family are very Irish. So, I made a corned beef and potatoes and cabbage, and we had soda bread. It's a big deal.
I was at work on St. Patrick's Day, and everybody was wearing green, which was like the color of our outfits for work that day because we had an event. And I was like, "Oh, everybody matched all matched our green." And they were like, "It's St. Patrick's Day." I was like, "It is." I look kind of a dope,
All right,
but I looked good.
so this week we did the SCP Foundation.
Hmm.
SCP stands for Secure, Contain, and Protect. They are a fictional organization tasked with keeping strange entities and objects that violate natural law away from the public. It's fully crowdsourced. Basically, someone will create an entry, and they'll create an internet creepypasta type of a thing, and they will crowdsource it until they think they've got it perfect, and then they will lock that entry down, and that SCP is done. There are almost 8,000 of them.
Yes, I did not get nearly that deep.
Yes. I went through a lot of there's a you can just go to like a page of the most popular ones to get a quick introduction, which I recommend. There's some fun stuff up there, but there's a lot. There's a lot of variety. SCP's been around for a while now. I think it was created late aughts, like 2008 ish. I think it came out like right after we got out of college because I feel like if this existed when we were in college, we would have been all over it. Uh,
That's still, I mean, like that's almost 20 years of what would that be?
15 years.
15 years. That's 15 years of crowdsourced creepypasta. There is so much more of this that I could hope to get through in any period of time. I really just like I was just like I'm just going to attempt to scratch the surface of this website.
Yeah, I have some tips for scratching the surface written down that we'll get into later as we go over some SCPs.
Oh, I
Uh,
love to hear them.
SCP is also it's found its way into broader media. There are some comic books, some short films, animations. There's a few novels, and there's even a few video games. And video games inspired. There was a really popular game in 2019 called Control that is heavily influenced by the SCP Foundation. The entire idea is centered on an agency like the SCP agency that collects these items, and basically they all get out, and you need to like secure the facility. Um, it's supposed to be really good. I had hoped to play it before we did this, but I just didn't have the time. So it's going to be my follow up now that I've gone down all these rabbit holes. But there are a bunch of official SCP games and stuff that people have created. So it's out there. It's in it. It's very Lovecraftian, Men in Black, X Files, creepy pasta. Just
How did you first come across this?
I
Because you told me about this months ago, and I never heard of it.
I first got exposed to it. I've been exposed to it through multiple fandoms and channels, but I first found it through the TV or the web series Drawfee, which
Okay.
is a YouTube channel where they're four artists and they will like be given random prompts to draw, and it's a really funny show. I really like it. I recommended it for the Christmas cryptids. They
Hmm.
did all the Yule ads and stuff, and
Right, right, right.
one of the things they do a lot is they will have someone who's into a fandom that they're not into give them prompts for things they've never seen before. So it's like they describe a Pokemon they've never seen before and they have to try and draw it. Or, a Resident Evil monster or a Dark Souls boss, and they have to just draw
Hmm.
it based on the description, and it's usually hilarious. And so they've done a few episodes now with SCPs, where they just read them the entry and they have to draw something for it. So I do recommend checking out Drawfee if you want to get like a brief idea but keep it light. The episodes are not long; they're like 20 to 30 minutes typically, and I think they've done 3 or 4 SCP episodes now.
Hmm.
But I've also heard about it through the Dungeons and Daddies podcast. Season 2 is very SCP Foundation influenced. Uh, Things like that. It's around.
Yeah.
It's I mean, as I said, it's been around for 15 years. It's really started to infect like so many things out in the world, just because it's too
Well,
big
sure.
not
If
to.
something. No, I mean that's the thing of it. It's been around for 15 years. That means there would have been people who would have been exposed to this as kids who would now be like grown up with this as being one of their probably major creative influences. Like this
Absolutely.
isn't new. It's so surprising to me that I have not really heard of it. It's been around for as long as it has, and it is as vast as it is. It's really its own kind of world unto itself. Like it's a pretty um built out um it's got some lore, it's got a built out world. It really does. I was
And
reading
go ahead.
I was saying I was reading through just like the guide for newcomers and how it all comes together and how it's they were explaining if you're writing a story for this and it doesn't quite fit the canon, that's okay. There's just too much of it to have to worry about the canon of 7,000, 8,000 other stories. Just like the foundation exists, and that's all you really need. You can kind of go from there. I appreciate the fact that they keep it open like that.
Yes, and it's not just the SCP Foundation. There's a sister site called the Wanderer's Library that exists in the same canonical universe. But the SCP Foundation is horror and sci-fi themed, and the Wanderer's Library is like magic and fantasy themed. So if like sci-fi is not your thing, but this sounds interesting, the Wanderer's Library scratches that itch.
Oh my
And there,
goodness, I
it
did not get into this. How many stories are in this one?
oh god, there's a lot. There's a lot of the Wanderer's Library as well. I don't think it's as big, but there are definitely a lot. I think maybe I don't know. It's in the hundreds.
Hundreds. Okay,
At
so that's
least
still I mean, that's still
at
good.
least in the hundreds. I haven't gotten into it. I thought maybe we would do this at a later point. There's also the back rooms, I think it's called, is another similar organization um built off of this type of concept where it's built on like empty endless spaces. There's a lot of cool stuff like this. If you get into one of them, you can usually find your way around to other similar things. There's a lot of stuff like this out there that people have been creating. Yes, the Backrooms is an online urban legend orienting from creepypasta, and it's its own big thing now.
That one I am familiar. I was familiar with that because they have an active subreddit for backrooms that I've clicked around in before.
Yeah, Backrooms didn't. I think the Backrooms came around in like 2019. It might have even spun off from SCP, but I don't think they're actually connected. But I think like it might have been like that type of a crowd.
It's the
Uh,
idea, the similar ideas.
yeah. So, um, and again, I might jump into. Maybe we'll do episodes about these two things later. But this one is SCP Foundation. Um, and it's just great because you're right. You just jump in, like you get to their front page, and they're just like, okay, yeah, we are here. This is it. What do you want to do? There's no back history. You pick up kind of on the history as you read through it. You figure out some of the movers and shakers, and I think there is even a like SCP explained thing section of it where you can kind of go in and get that lore if you want, but it's more just freeform.
Yeah, but let's talk a little bit about like the format of it for anybody who's not familiar with it because I was really until I got into it today, I didn't know what I was getting into.
Okay.
So it is built as if you are reading the case files of an organization, like you were saying, that deals with paranormal and strange activity. So each entry, while being like a short work of creative fiction, is written so that it feels like you're reading someone's usually often heavily redacted notes about a paranormal occurrence, which I think the best thing about it, or the thing that really makes it work, is that they're such easy reads. There's so much of it. Like there's 7,000. You're not going to sit down and like read through the whole thing in a weekend, probably.
Oh no. I
But
spent I spent over an hour on one of them today.
my, but you could definitely like if you're say commuting and you're sitting on the train and you're just clicking through, you're never going to have to worry about whether or not you're going to finish that entry before your train ride is done. You can probably get through like 6 or 7 of them in a train ride,
Yeah.
which I think of everything in terms of commuting. Um, that it makes it a nice alternative to like listening to a podcast. I feel like a lot of times, like if I'm sitting on a train listening to a podcast, I'm only like half paying attention to it. Um, Whereas this is a bit more engaging.
And yeah, as you said, to kind of go farther into it, it is broken down like you're reading a case file, but they break that down even further where they have object classes for everything, uh, which is safe, Euclid, or Keter. Safe is it's simple to contain. Euclid is it's more complex, and Keter is it's almost impossible to contain. Um, and then they have an overview of all the procedures you need to contain and interact with it, and then descriptions of the actual thing, and then sometimes they actually have like interviews with doctors and scientists and stuff, experiments, logs that you can read through about everything. Some of them go really in depth.
Yeah, that was one of the things one of the things I really liked about it was as I got further into it, and I did not get very far into it. Um, Sometimes they start linking to other stories. So it's like, oh, well, this experiment is, let's say it's a virus. This is, from one of them was a virus, but there's another experiment or case file rather that is a cure for many diseases. And they'll link the two and say, oh, we tested this item to see how it interacted with this item. And you can see how it's something where the writers of each story started getting more and more collaborative or uh, at least self-referential. And again, it made it feel much more real. It felt much more substantial because it started having those shared histories.
Yeah, like there is an SCP that is a there's two different SCPs that are sentient teddy bears, and
I did not
one of
get to
them
those.
is good and one of them is evil, and it's not like they're like good and evil versions of them. You know what I mean? And so like they both get referenced in each other's file because it's like this is not like this SCP. And it's just like it's cool. It's like they're like there's no known connection. They are completely separate things. They are just both are sentient teddy bears. And I actually learned about that one, so I will recommend if you want to just do a quick deep dive into SCP lore, I would recommend jump into SCP 5000. SCP 5000 is basically a non functional mechanical suit that randomly appeared in a flash of light at one of their sites. Actually, at one SCP, there's a specific SCP's containment chamber. This suit just appeared inside, and it has basically logs from the future, from the end of the world, from one of the staff members, who is alive and well and has no idea what happened. And it's basically just this person's journey through the apocalypse in this suit, because this suit is basically, it has a perception filter on it so people don't notice you, so that's how they survived. But it is like a worst case scenario where all the SCPs got loose. And so, besides it being like a really, really long, this is what I was in for over an hour. But one of the reasons I was in it for over an hour is he'll give you like breakdowns every once in a while, because there's like him talking about what's going on, there's him giving reports, and then here's a breakdown of things that happened this month, and it's like this SCP got circulated on social media and killed like thousands, because there's certain ones where if like you see their face or something you die. And it's just like all the different SCPs that were released or used, and like some of them are good, not all of these are evil. Some of these are there to like save the world, and this goes into how they failed. And it's just like, so I learned probably about like 20, 25 SCPs, just like because he was like, and this thing showed up and blah blah blah, and I was like, all right, right click, what is that? And like, if you just want to kind of go down one rabbit hole to see a pretty good breadth and how these things can tie into each other, I recommend SCP 5000. It was a roller coaster fun read.
All right, so that must have been like a special edition for the 5,000th entry, I'm assuming.
Maybe? Um,
Wait.
it's pretty long. It was really cool. But because of the way that this is set up, you don't actually ever see like, oh, this was like a fun 5000th one. This is just a big entry where it's like, all right, what would happen. Um, there's other fun ones. There's one that's kind of like It Follows. It's SCP-96. If you see its face in any way, photograph, video, anything, it will find and kill you.
Did you
Um,
just start clicking around randomly, or did you read through until you got that
I
deep into it?
I went to the page that is literally there is a page that is
I'm
I'm back
holding.
clicking. It's top rated pages. So if you go to their website, you can just go to top rated pages and it'll give you, their like top 100 most popular SPCs. And so initially I just started clicking through them, going down the list, like, what are some of the fun ones? Because again, you can then jump to others from within some of them. So I started my rabbit hole at the top of top rated pages. How did you do this?
I just went into section 1 and started reading them in order.
Oh, wow. Okay.
I didn't get too deep into it. I don't think I got nearly as far as you did.
Oh, yeah.
It
No,
was
I
on.
I went to the most popular ones to try and give people some stuff to draw them in.
Hmm.
But yeah, there is one, and it follows one SPC-096. It is a normal being that can be like locked in a cell, etc. Until something sees its face, upon which it can just walk through walls. It'll just walk into a straight line until it gets to you.
Oh,
There's SCP-3008, which is a giant extra dimensional IKEA that it's like infinite inside, and all these people are just trapped in it and can't find the exit.
oh, well, I'm not going to make any IKEA jokes because I think they'd be too easy.
Yeah, no. This one is another really fun one that took me a while because the entry isn't very long. Um, Entry's fun. It's a pretty cool, just IKEA furniture store. But then there is a transcription of a journal recovered from someone who escaped because every once in a while someone will find the exit. And the journal was a great read, but it was pretty long.
Oh.
But, so there's more like just fun, zany, like, there's just a, literal labyrinthian IKEA that does go on forever, kind of playing on the concept that, IKEA is labyrinthian and seems like you're there forever. SCP-55 is really cool because the second you stop interacting with it, you forget literally everything about it, and you can't. And any notes taken about it disappear.
Then how is there an entry?
The entry they did figure out because there's a lot of frustration in the entry, and the entry is you can't remember anything about it, but you can remember what it isn't, so you can be like, it was not blue, and you will know that that is true. And so a lot of the entry is them trying to figure out ways to classify it without classifying it. Does that
Oh,
make
that's really.
sense?
Yeah, yeah, that's really clever.
It is. It's really, really clever. Some of these are just short and sweet. There's an SCP that is not labeled. It is literally just SCP dash because it's an SCP that makes you procrastinate. And it doesn't have an item number. It doesn't have an object class. Special containment procedures is it's just in a box in my office. It's a description. It's a rock that makes you procrastinate. Addendum, probably a medic or something. I don't know. I'll finish this up later. And that's the entire entry.
There, I did find there was the link to like the funny ones.
Yeah, there are some really funny ones. There is a cool one. It's SCP 2521. The entire thing is done in pictographs and even the number is like dot dot dash dot 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 dot, because this thing, anytime you write anything down about it, it will come and like kill you. And so, but they figured out it doesn't recognize like pictures and symbols, so the entire entry is done in like road signs and like copy machine signs and just all these different symbols that you know what they mean if you look at them. But if you talk about it or write about it, it will come and it will find you. But if you do everything in gestures and pictures, it doesn't matter. So they had to, again, it's just like a really clever, fun entry. And it doesn't mean to kill you, it's just lonely.
Oh, that's so sad.
It's just like I'll hug him and squeeze him and call him George. SCP-087 is an endless staircase going down. Like it's not like it's like an endless staircase like you would go to like at an office building or something where it's like go down, take a right, take two steps forward, take a right, go down. Like it's just like continuously like circling down. Um, but like weird crap happens as you're inside. And again, there's a lot of journal entries from people who they've sent in to explore and stuff. That was a lot of fun. So there's a lot of wild, clever stuff that people have come up with over the last decade and a half.
Feels like it would be a good like anthology television series or some sort of investigative series. Like I could see them doing someone doing an X Files type show for this.
Absolutely.
You know,
I could see that.
I
And
wonder. I wonder how the rights to these work.
well, again, there's a lot of video games and stuff. I think it might just be like you can't make money off of it. But and
Oh,
that's
okay.
like I don't know because like there's those video games made by those developers and I don't know if they're free or not. But like you can also get around it. Like Control was like game of the year and it just doesn't call itself SCP, but it's clearly heavily influenced by SCP. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah, absolutely.
So these are a lot of fun. More mature, but if you're looking for like something fun to kind of look at and do spookily with your kids, like your older kids, I think this could definitely be.
It could be a fun like campfire read. Say like
Mm-hmm.
campfire read or
You could
like you're
probably look up a bunch of these for around the campfire fire specifically, like the
for
new
sure.
campfire tales.
Yeah, it feels like something like you're. I mean, if you have a group of people together, like for like a fun spooky night, and you read them to each other, I feel like it would be a good activity.
I
We
agree.
could make it into a game. I don't know what that would be. I feel like you could make this into some sort of you could definitely do some role playing game with this. You
Yeah,
have like a modern setting. Just
yeah.
like pull a case file and do a role playing game session about that case file.
That's kind of what they're doing in. I referenced Dungeons and Daddies season 2 earlier. They're doing a similar thing to that this season, where they're kind of in an SCP Foundation type of a thing, and just like Monster of the Weeking it.
Oh, nice. Yeah,
Yeah. So
a lot. Creatively, it's very interesting. I think
yes,
it's a fun dive.
and I've done a lot of horror ones. There are good ones. There's more innocuous ones. There's more just like tongue in cheek like ones, but you know, I didn't have a chance to go too deep. I jumped into I don't know 3 or 4 dozen of them and just kind of
Wow.
picked some of my favorites that stood out to mention But again, there's just thousands. So I've got a random number generator
Ooh, okay, go for it.
right now. I figure we'll just peek in on a few SCPs and see what random stuff we can find.
So somewhere between 1 and 7,999.
Yes, and we got 151.
Oh, surprisingly. Oh, on the list. Okay,
Yeah,
100.
and 51. The painting. Object Class Euclid. SCP-151 should be kept in a locked storage compartment covered by an opaque cloth. The keys to the compartment should be kept in custody of the site commander when SCP-151 is not being researched. When research is being conducted, SCP-151 may be kept in a locked laboratory provided it is always covered when not being used. Description: SCP-151 is a 1 millimeter by 1 meter by 1.3 meter, 3 foot by 4 foot oil painting, apparently from the perspective of someone underwater. A subject who views the painting exhibits no initial effects. However, over a period of 24 hours, the subject's breathing becomes increasingly labored, culminating in the death of the subject. Autopsies reveal that the subject's lungs have filled with seawater. Attempts to halt the drowning process by medical intervention have proven successful in the prolonging of the life of the subject, but have not stopped nor reversed the condition. The painting is not signed, but several names are written on the back. And then they have an addendum where it was found, that type of stuff. So they
Yeah, so that I think that would make a great jumping off point for a role playing game
exactly.
scenario.
Even the addendum, like it talks about how agents were discovering that the names, uh, or that they kept finding victims with lungs full of seawater, but all discovered on dry land. And then, it's this whole thing about how they found it. So that would be like they've already got the premise for a campaign session right there in the addendum.
Right.
I will say one of my big problems with the SCP Foundation is it's all done in metrics.
Oh yeah, it's all British.
It's all done in and it's 90 centimeters long, and I'm like, I have no idea how long that is.
That's America's problem. That is
Yeah,
not.
that is America's problem,
This
but
is America's problem.
it is my problem because I'm like, oh great, now I have to have a Google tab open doing conversions for my stupid American brain.
All right, do another number.
All
Do a couple
right,
more.
generate 6,183.
1,000.
Go to the other end of the
Okay.
spectrum.
All right. Access denied. This URL is currently unusable. SCP Wiki staff.
Okay,
Wow. What are the odds we would land on that?
right. Uh, Access denied typically means it's being currently edited or that one hasn't been filled in yet. Um, but let's try another one. 5325.
5325. The
The last
last
train
train
home.
home.
You take
Ooh, that
this
sounds
one.
good.
Oh, this is a fairly long one. Not super long.
All right. Let's see how far we got. Special containment. Okay. Item 5325. Containment class safe is level 2 restricted.
That's
Special
another thing.
containment.
Some of these are have different levels of restriction on them, which is cool. So it's just like eyes only, top tier people, blah blah blah. So you feel like you're reading something you're not supposed to sometimes, which is like a nice little effect.
And we have a picture of what looks like a train station. Special containment procedures. Barricade is to be erected around platform 4 of the Canfranc Intercontinental Station. The underground tunnels blocked under the guise of health and safety risk. Due to currently active trains still passing through platform 1, a research site cannot be established next to the anomaly. Thus, Provisional Site 14 is to be established in the nearby town of Canfranc with a skeleton crew of staff. Description: SCP-5325 is the remains of a train that served Confranc to Priest Line in 1932. SCP-5325 is currently located in an abandoned intercountry railway station in Spain. After a bridge collapse on the French side of the line, the station was decommissioned in 1970. At precisely 7:30 p.m. every day, SCP-5325 will emerge, still worn down by age, from the nearby train shed and arrive at Platform 4. If a subject stands on the aforementioned platform, they begin to experience auditory hallucinations described as vocalizations in French. These hallucinations include speech and messages from the conductor alongside the opening and closing of doors. The train is seen to depart at 8 p.m. precisely. Should I keep reading?
Um, I think that's you know, basically it. Uh,
Yeah, then we get a nice. There's a lot of info here about what's going on with this train.
yeah, so like then you get into like what happens if people ride the train, all these different situations where they sent people across and what their experiences were. So you kind of get like a little into, you know, personal accounts and stuff, which is again, it's a nice little like deep dive that feels real. Want to do one more?
Yeah, let's do one more.
All right, SCP-2581. 2581 Greeting Card Rapture. Object Class Euclid.
We
Uh,
have a picture of an empty rack of greeting cards.
so I find it helpful to do the description before the containment procedures.
Oh, sure.
Just because you're like, what are you talking about? Okay, SCP-2581 is a phenomenon which generates incidences of 2581X, which are individually designated as 25811 through 141 as of the date of this log. While the originating cause of the outbreak is unknown, all incidents have been recorded in concentrations of commercial greeting cards that reach a certain critical mass. The smallest recorded incident was recovered from a department store in Redacted, containing approximately 2,300 cards, with the largest occurred in a shipping warehouse owned by the Redacted Corporation, which contained over 3.7 million cards. Incidents are initiated when a single card spontaneously acquires a previously absent religious theme in the case of secular cards, or adopts a different religious theme in the case of non secular cards. Each incident spreads themes related to a single religion, which is unique to that incident. Each religion that has been recorded has not reappeared in any future incident. Uh, so basically, this is just cards replicating and replicating and replicating until
Or like
there's.
infecting, like non-religious greeting cards being infected by religious sentiment that was not previously there. That is real abstract.
Yeah. Um, this is just a weird one. And that's the thing. Sometimes they are just weird ones. So yeah, check them out. They're a fun little. If again, I think this is perfect train fodder. If you're just like waiting for, if you've got 5 to 15 minutes, you can burn through one or two of these,
Well, a
typically.
good thing, like if you're sitting at your desk at work and you need to get your brain off of whatever you're working on, this would be a good thing to just click through and read a couple of random ones.
Or you've got, like a Zoom meeting and like you're on 5 minutes early and you've just got to kill that 5 minutes.
Hmm.
Pop this up.
All
So,
right.
SCP
Yeah,
Foundation.
I'm gonna
Oh,
check out a lot more of this. I think I'm gonna sit down and read through some of them.
it is something that I think I learned about SCPs probably 5 years ago. And it's one of those things that every time it comes up again, I'm like, God, I gotta do a deeper dive into that. Because every time I do, I read like four or five of them, and I'm like, this is really cool. and then like I kind of fall off of it. I do find that like I can't take a ton of it at once.
Mm.
Um, if you start to read too many of these at a time, like I started to get stressed.
Oh, jeez.
I don't know why. It was just like I don't know, maybe it's because I was reading case files at work or something, but no, they're a lot of fun. There's something I always like. I'm like, why don't I get more into that? So give it a try, do a little dive. If you find any that you think are particularly fun, let us know. We'll check them out.
Yeah, I'd love to do some reading on these.
All right. Thank you for joining us.
Oh, we'll see you next time. I'm Sam.
I'm Steve. Where can they find us, Sam?
Oh my gosh, I'm supposed to do the socials. Facebook and Instagram. We're at S. Oh, what's the name of the show? RTSpiritspod. Facebook and Instagram. Good places to connect with us, and you can check out the uh, images that were generated by Midjourney for today's cryptid.
Perfect. All right. Have a great day, and we will see you next time.
See you next time.
Bye.